Hello there. Welcome to the next episode of my Beginning Wet Shaver series. I want to talk tonight a little bit about soap. The importance of soap and what you choose to shave with, it really can't be overstated. Some of this, well, all of this is my understanding and my opinions and what has worked for me. Some of what I might talk about, other people would disagree with. That doesn't make them wrong and me right. It just means that they have different priorities or a different way of looking at it. So when we start talking about soaps, there's a couple of things that I think are important. There are some terms that people throw around with soap. One of them is cushion. You'll hear things like cushion and glide and slickness and that kind of thing. My opinion on those terms is that the only one that really makes any sense to me is slickness. The term cushion, depending on who you talk to, could mean half a dozen different things, but the gist of what I get when I read people talking about cushion is that the lather has some type of barrier, some type of protective way. Because when I think of cushion, okay, I think of a cushion, okay, and I know soaps that I can put lather in my hands and begin to press with them, and I can feel a nice pocket of air between my two hands that the soap provides, okay? And so, but the thing with it is if what they mean by cushion is that the soap has a property that kind of holds the razor up off of your face and therefore protects you, then it's not cutting your whiskers smoothly or cleanly or closely. It's not possible to do both. So, and like I said, there are other definitions of the word cushion that I have heard. I can't remember them now, okay? But that's one that stuck out with me because it's impractical and doesn't make any logical sense. And the thing of it is if it's a property, it's a property and it's fixed. One guy can't think it's this way and another guy can't think it's this thing. Okay, it either is or it isn't. And so, in my opinion, I don't worry about cushion in a soap. I'm not looking for it. I'm not trying to evaluate it. Okay. Similarly, glide. Okay. Well, the razor glides across your face. Well, in my opinion, that's slickness. Okay. People will say, well, no, there's a difference between glide and slickness. Okay. Okay. Once again, those are terms that people try to explain, and what they're saying doesn't make any sense to me. So the only common characteristic of a soap that I know of, there's two that I'm aware of that I agree with and that I look for in a soap. The first is a stable lather. Okay? It has to be stable. It must stay on your face. It must stay rich. It can't fade away and dry up. It must hold its water content. That kind of deal. That's one. And the second is it must be slick. And the reason I say that slickness is the most important characteristic in a soap is because I have had soaps that they would fade, but they left a residual slickness on my face that I could shave 2 passes with. Okay? Mystic Water Soap does that. Okay? I would not recommend that soap to a beginner. You better know how to lather a soap if you're going to lather Mystic Water Soap. Anyway, slickness allows the blade to glide or slide across your skin in a smooth sort of way. If you don't have enough slickness, what will happen is the razor will grab and it will skip and you're going to get nicks and cuts. But if I have a nice slick soap, a slick surface on my face and my technique is right, then the razor is going to glide smoothly across my face and around the contours of my face. It's not going to catch on my jaw or on my chin or anything like that. Once again, considering that I'm using proper technique, I'm going to get a nice, smooth, closed, comfortable shave if I have slickness in my soap. So, one of the other complaints that you'll hear a lot is that, well, this soap dries my face out. Well, there are some soaps that have ingredients in them that are drying, but a lot of times what happens is that your soap, the soap that you're using is drying out your face because you did not put enough water in it. You like the looks of a lather on your face and you stop there. This is directly related to slickness in some soaps as well. If you do not get the Arco is like that. Tobacco is like that. If you don't get enough water in Tobacco, if you don't get enough water in Arco, it'll be dry. And you won't get a nice shave out of them. Alright? There has to be a certain amount of water in a soap to provide slickness, but also about drying. If you talk to any soap maker, they will tell you that true soap is a salt. That is what it is. That's one of the reasons that you wet your face before you lather up. You need moisture on your face, and you need moisture in the soap. Otherwise, the salt, that is a huge part of the makeup of that soap, is going to suck the moisture off of your skin. It's going to draw moisture from somewhere. And if you don't have a layer of moisture or a layer of water on your face when you lather, if you don't have the proper amount of water in that soap, it's going to suck the moisture off your face. Now, and I'm not saying that there aren't soaps out there that are drying, but the majority of times that I've heard say, well, that soap's drying on my face, I've used the soap many times, and it depends on whether you get enough water in it, whether or not it's drying. Now, I will discuss how to tell if the soap has enough water in it in a future video on soap lathering. Okay? But for right now, you need to understand that you need a stable lather, and that has to do with water content. A lot of people will use a soap, and they're using the soap because they like it, but they're not getting the best out of the soap because the soap can't handle the water. And so when they put the right amount of water in it, the soap falls apart. So when you go to pick a soap, it's very important that you pick a good soap. And how do you do that? Well, what I would tell you is this. There's been a huge explosion of artisans, and there's been a huge explosion of companies when it comes to shaving soap. There are people that are realizing that they can make money because traditional wet shaving is more popular now than it used to be. It's still a niche area. The majority of men will either never shave or keep a 3-day stubble, or they'll use a card or an electric razor or something like that. They won't go to a DE or a straight or anything like that. Okay, and they're not worried about the kind of soap they use or anything like that. They just want to get their face shaved and they're done. Okay, so in my opinion, traditional shaving will pretty much always be a niche, but it's a big enough niche that people can make money at it. Okay, so my best advice to you when it comes to picking a soap is talk to the community. Ask about different types of soaps. Ask recommendations for soaps and sort through the replies. I had a viewer recently ask me about a soap and about lather, and that's part of what the lathering video coming up will address, or I hope that it will address and will help him more than what I was able to reply to him. But it's a soap, I can't even remember what it is now. It's a cream. I've never heard of it. I've never seen it. Okay, that doesn't mean much because I don't keep up with a lot of the new stuff. I've got pretty much a packed full of soap, and I don't really buy soap anymore. Okay, but I've never heard of it. I'm active in the community and all of that, and I think I would have heard of the soap if it was any count. But I've never heard of it. So, but like I said, I could be wrong. It could be a really slamming cream. It might just not be something that I know. But the thing of it is, if I don't recognize it, chances are a lot of other guys won't recognize it either. And that can be a good thing if you're an experienced shaver and you know that the soap is good. But as a new shaver, you want to rely on the experience of others in this hobby, many others, and you have the opportunity to do that with the Facebook groups and YouTube and all of that. There's a huge amount of wet shavers out there, and they all want to help, okay? Well, most of them do, okay? And there's a huge amount of experience out there that you can draw from. So when you start trying to pick a soap, ask the community. That's one. And another thing is that there are a huge, remember I said that there's a huge bunch of artisans? Well, you can go on Etsy or someplace like that and find artisans all day long. When you start talking about artisan soap, once again, come to the community. Look at shave of the day pics. Look at videos. Ask questions, okay, about this artisan or that artisan. I'm not going to recommend any artisans because if I recommend 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 and miss these 5 or 10 over here, somebody's going to get upset, okay? But there are a ton of really good artisans that are making really good artisan soap for between $13 and $20 for a container of it that are fantastic. And if you want to explore some of that, support them because it's good to have them in the community. But once again, go to the community. Look at what people are shaving with. Ask questions. Make sure you get good product. The community can guide you on that. Right. Now, I'm going to make a few recommendations on some soaps for beginners. This is by no means inclusive, okay? But these are some of the things that I started with and some of the things that I still use regularly. And every last one of them is a good, solid product that will work well for you. Some of them are a little more expensive than others. But my first recommendation for any... Oh, and by the way, I've omitted a couple of things that a lot of people start with in the beginning because I think that they are soaps that are best left to people that have learned to properly lather first. Okay, something like Mitchell's Wool Fat. Okay, some people, I never had trouble lathering that soap. The first time I put a brush to it, it blew up with lather. But there's a lot of people that struggle with Mitchell's Wool Fat. Mitchell's Wool Fat is an absolutely fantastic soap. But some beginners, and even some people that have been lathering for a while and shaving traditionally for a while, have difficulties with it. So it's not in this grouping for that reason. I want the beginner to have soaps that are more easy to lather and will deliver the proper properties for shaving that you need to be able to get good shaves and not have to worry about, is my soap any good? Okay. So the number one recommendation that I would make, and this is just one scent of theirs, there's a ton. This is Razor Rock's American Barber. I recommend Razor Rock products to any beginner. Number one, why? Well, you can get Razor Rock, a nice container. It's an Italian crope, an Italian soft soap. This is a fantastic barbershop scent. But, and some of their scents are good. Some of them are a little weak, but scent is secondary to the properties of the soap that you need. So you can get a container or a puck of Razor Rock soap, depending on what type it is, from anywhere from $5 to $10, and then they have some that cost a little bit more. But for $5 and $10, there's probably 30 Razor Rock soaps out there And you'll like them. You'll like some of them. And I'm going to tell you one thing right now. None of them will be bad. They just won't. Okay, so quality per value. Razor Rock's hard to beat. There are a couple of soaps that you can find locally depending on where you are. This is Fanta Deluxe. And you could probably get this anywhere from $3 to $5 a pup, depending on where you buy it. Walmart carries it, and one other type, which I recommend this above any of the others, the Deluxe. But it's a solid, basic, glycerin-based soap that lathers well. It's stable. It's got good slickness. The scent is pleasing and not overly strong. And you can get it locally. There's another that I use a lot, Williams Mug Soap. But I don't recommend that to beginners because it requires you to know what the heck you're doing to lather it, unless you find something that's vintage. Now you can learn, but there's a lot you need to learn when you first start shaving. If you want a soap that you don't have to worry about, and once you progress, then you can start looking at soaps that are difficult to lather and stuff like that, and decide whether they're for you. But for right now, you want something that will give you what you need so that you can concentrate on things like technique in shaving. But Vanderhagen Deluxe, there's a similar soap that you can get from a lot of the vendors, and I think probably you can get it locally in some places. And that's Colonel Conk. This is also a glycerin-based soap. They're small pucks. So is a Vanderhagen. The Vanderhagen is 2.5 ounces, and this is 2.25 ounces. Couldn't find it there for a minute. But it's a good, decent, basic soap. It's got good slickness. It's stable. It's not difficult to lather. So, if you want to look at, I want to look at one other soap that I really recommend, and that's Chela. This is like $13, I think. The prices may have changed since I've been buying soap, so they might be a little bit more now, I don't know. But it's a fantastic Italian shaving soap, soft soap. Has an almond scent, cherry almond, marzipan almost type scent. And it's good stuff. And it will give you the lather and the slickness that you need. When we start talking about creams, there's a couple of creams. This is Spike. Just act like you're Sean Connery when you say it, and say Spike, okay? But this is a cream. It's got a woody kind of scent that some people like and some people don't. But this is a slamming cream. I think it's $6 or $8 now, and it's slick as snot. It's stable. It's a fantastic cream, and it's economical, and you can get it through the shaving vendors, and I would not be without this in my den. The next cream that I would talk about is C.O. Bigelow. Now this is Perazzo green. There's a cream rather out there from Italy, and this is a tube, what the tube looks like. And you'll find it at the vendors. There's 4 different varieties. There's Perazzo green. There's a sandalwood type. There's I think there's a blue, and then there's a white, and I forget what the scents are on those. But Perazzo is an old cream or soap. It's been around for a very long time. It's a fantastic barber soap. Many Italian barbers use it, and it's well worth like the $10 at the tube will cost you. This tube, Bed Bath and Beyond, or Bath and Body Works, sorry, Bath and Body Works, carries this. It's made for C.O. Bigelow by Perazzo, and this is a rebranded Perazzo green, and it is what a huge amount of guys start shaving with, and I cannot recommend this or the Perazzo green highly enough. Just fantastic cream for $10. And if you go to Bath and Body Works, a lot of times you can get one that's about half this size for like $5. So it's just a fantastic cream. Lastly, I want to talk about one more cream, and it's, the last time I looked, it was about $14, but that's been a couple years. It may be a little bit more expensive now. And this is just 1 cent of it, one that I absolutely love, but it's Taylor of Old Bond Street cream. This is their grapefruit flavor, and it's slamming good, but they make several scents. Taub's cream is an excellent cream, well worth the money. If you want something that, if you're using like $5 and $6 soaps or creams, and you want something that, you know, for when you want to like kind of do something a little bit nicer, Taub's is a good bet. So those are my recommendations for beginners. Some soaps that I would recommend, but once again, talk to the community. They know, and they will help you. And so I hope that this video has been informative, and I hope that you will join me next time. Bless you, and I'll talk to you later.